The second heart in your legs is failing, and your daily walk isn't fixing it. Here are the 5 movements surgeons actually prescribe to restore circulation, reduce swelling, and prevent falls after 60. If you're over 60 and you've been told to just go for a walk to fix poor leg circulation, I need you to listen carefully. As a surgeon, what I'm about to share might contradict everything you've heard, but in my operating room and clinic, I see the evidence every single day. We have been sold a well-intentioned but dangerously incomplete story. Walking is presented as the universal cure-all for heavy, aching, cold, or swollen legs in our later years. And yes, movement is absolutely vital, but blindly relying on steps alone is like trying to put out a house fire with a single glass of water. The painful reality I witness is this: patients follow the common advice faithfully. They walk their daily loop, they elevate their legs at night, they wear their compression socks, and yet they still return to my clinic with the same troubling symptoms: the cold feet that no amount of socks can warm, the swelling that makes their shoes tight by afternoon, that deep, burning ache or unexplained cramping that steals their sleep, and perhaps most frightening of all, the subtle balance issues that quietly set the stage for a devastating fall. This is where we must understand the critical distinction. Poor circulation isn't merely an inconvenience or a sign of just getting older. After 60, it becomes a silent, progressive condition with serious consequences. When blood fails to move efficiently, down to your feet and back up to your heart, it's not just about discomfort, it's a delivery system breaking down. Oxygen and vital nutrients struggle to reach the tissues in your lower legs and feet, while metabolic waste products stagnate. This compromised environment is why a simple nick or blister can turn into a stubborn, slow-healing sore. It's why the risk of infection rises dramatically. In severe, untreated cases, this path can lead to tissue damage so severe that amputation becomes a heartbreaking necessity. Furthermore, your leg arteries are a window into your entire cardiovascular system. Compromised circulation here is often one of the earliest red flags that your heart and other arteries are under stress, working harder against increasing resistance. The fundamental problem is a widespread misunderstanding of what bad circulation truly means at this stage of life. It's not just cold toes. The core issue is the failure of the venous return system, the body's mechanism for pumping blood back up to the heart against gravity. After 60, structural changes accelerate. Arteries can lose elasticity and narrow. The one-way valves in your veins, essential for preventing backflow, can weaken and become leaky. The mighty calf muscle, your body's primary second heart, often loses strength and neuromuscular efficiency, especially if you spend significant time seated. The result? Blood begins to pool and idle in the lower legs like water in a stagnant pond. By age 70, the numbers are sobering. Nearly 1 in 5 adults has measurable peripheral artery disease in their legs, and a significant portion are unaware until a crisis occurs. This is why in surgery, we don't guess or rely on vague advice. We see the end-stage results when this process isn't identified and addressed early and correctly. We see manageable swelling harden into skin changes and then ulcerate into open wounds. We see how compromised sensation and muscle fatigue from poor oxygenation erode balance, leading to that one life-altering fall. And we know that fall often begins a rapid cascading decline in overall health and independence. So, while the promise of a simple walk is appealing, the medical reality for many seniors is that generic walking fails to provide the specific, targeted muscular activation required to reverse this specific physiological decline. It addresses movement, but not necessarily the corrupted pump. To understand why walking often falls short, we need to look under the skin, at the elegant and critical engineering of your circulatory system. Think of your heart as the powerful main pump, sending oxygen-rich blood on its journey down to your feet through arteries. But the return trip, the journey back up to the heart through your veins, is where the real challenge lies after 60. This is a trip against gravity, through vessels that are not muscular like arteries, but thin-walled and passive. This is where your body employs a brilliant piece of mechanical design, the venous muscle pump, often called your second heart. This isn't a single organ, but a system centered primarily in your calf muscles. Imagine your deep leg veins nestled within these powerful muscles. Every time you take a step and contract your calf, it acts like a squeezing hand around a soft tube. This compression physically propels the blood inside those veins upward, toward your heart. Tiny one-way valves inside the veins snap shut behind each surge of blood, preventing it from sliding back down. It's a sophisticated, rhythmic, step-by-step pumping action that is absolutely fundamental to healthy circulation in your limbs. Now, consider what happens as we age, particularly past the age of 60. This finely tuned system begins to develop points of failure. The calf muscles themselves can lose mass and strength, a condition known as sarcopenia, especially if we become more sedentary. A weaker muscle cannot generate the same powerful compressive force. Simultaneously, the delicate valves within the veins can become stretched, floppy, and inefficient from a lifetime of pressure or from conditions like chronic venous insufficiency. They start to leak, allowing a fraction of that hard-won upward surge to slide backward with each pump cycle. Furthermore, the arteries supplying the muscles can narrow, reducing the overall oxygenated blood flow that powers the pump in the first place. The consequence of these age-related changes is a system that becomes progressively less efficient. Blood begins to linger. It pools in the lower legs, around the ankles and in the feet, much like water settling at the lowest point. This pooling increases venous pressure, which forces fluid out through the capillary walls and into the surrounding tissue. This is the direct cause of that stubborn swelling, or edema. But the damage is more than just fluid retention. Stagnant blood delivers less fresh oxygen and nutrients to the cells of your legs and feet, and it fails to efficiently carry away metabolic waste products like lactic acid. This is the source of that heavy, aching, burning fatigue. The tissues become undernourished and bathed in irritants, slowing their ability to repair and heal from even minor scrapes or pressure points. This is the precise physiological breakdown that transforms a simple walk from a solution into, at times, an insufficient activity. Casual walking may not create a strong enough, deliberate enough contraction of the calf to overcome this growing resistance. It can become more of a momentum-based shuffle that doesn't fully engage the deep pump mechanism with the force required to move stagnant fluid. The fix, therefore, cannot simply be move more. It must be to move specifically. Rehabilitation of circulation after 60 relies on identifying and intentionally targeting this failing pump. It requires exercises engineered not for cardio or calorie burn, but to replicate and amplify that specific squeezing action, to retrain those muscles to contract with purpose, and to do so in a way that overcomes the gravitational pull on a compromised venous system. Once you understand that the goal is to physically, manually assist the upward journey of blood, the entire approach to exercise shifts from counting steps to engineering precise contractions. Now let's translate this understanding of the failing second heart into a practical surgical-grade recovery plan. This is not a generic fitness list. This is a targeted protocol, the kind we prescribe after procedures to prevent circulatory collapse and restore function. We are going to rebuild the pump from the ground up, starting with the simplest activation and progressing to the most powerful. Our first movement is so fundamental, it's often the very first thing patients do post-surgery, even before standing. Think of it as turning the key in a car that's been sitting for too long. It's the seated ankle pump. You simply lift your toes toward your shins, then press them down as if working a gentle pedal. This isolated motion begins to wake up the calf muscles and the intricate network of veins around the ankle, initiating a basic pumping action without any strain. It's about reminding the system of its primary job, to create movement within the fluid. Consistency here, doing sets of these throughout the day while seated, is more valuable than intensity. It combats the stagnant pooling that occurs during prolonged sitting, warming the feet and beginning to reduce that dense, heavy feeling in the lower legs. From this foundational pump, we must build strength and expand the circuit. This brings us to the seated leg extension. While seated tall with your back supported, you slowly lift one leg until it is straight out in front of you, hold for a moment, and lower it with control. This movement does two critical things. First, it powerfully engages your quadriceps, the large muscles on the front of your thigh. When these muscles contract, they compress the deep femoral veins, the major highways for blood return from the leg. This action works in concert with the calf pump, essentially extending the squeeze further up the limb. Second, and just as importantly, it builds the essential strength required for basic mobility, rising from a chair, climbing a step, stabilizing your gait. A 2024 study found that this exact exercise dramatically improved walking speed and stair climbing ability in older adults because it directly strengthens the muscles that literally lift your body against gravity. Without this strength, even the best calf pump will struggle as the entire system above it is weak. Next, we transition to weight bearing with the supported heel raise. Standing firmly behind a sturdy chair, you slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as comfortable. This is where we directly target and strengthen the main pump itself, the calf muscles. But the secret isn't just in the lift, it's in the deliberate pause at the top. Holding that position for 2 to 3 seconds forces a sustained maximal contraction of the calf. This prolonged squeeze mimics and enhances the peak pumping action that a casual walking step lacks. It's this sustained tension that most effectively compresses the deep veins and drives blood upward. Furthermore, this movement inherently challenges and improves your balance, training the proprioceptive system in your ankles and retraining your body's sense of stability. It's a direct link between circulatory improvement and fall prevention, addressing two of the most critical pillars of independence simultaneously. We then integrate this new strength and pump efficiency into your neural wiring with the single leg stance hold. This is where circulation therapy and high-level balance training converge. By simply standing on one leg for 20 to 30 seconds while lightly holding a counter, you force every stabilizing muscle from your ankle to your core to fire continuously. This continuous low-level contraction maintains a steady-state pumping action in the standing leg. More importantly, it fundamentally retrains your nervous system. It improves the communication speed between your feet, your brain, and your muscles, the very system that engages in a split second to prevent a stumble from becoming a fall. Studies show the ability to perform this simple task is one of the strongest predictors of future mobility and fall risk. It creates the confidence in stability that allows you to move more freely and therefore pump blood more consistently throughout your day. Finally, we combine all these elements into the most potent exercise of the protocol, the standing calf pump hold with a slow lower. This is the apex movement. You perform a heel raise, but with a focus on an extended hold at the top, up to 5 seconds, followed by an incredibly slow, controlled descent of about 3 seconds. This maximizes the time under tension for the calf muscle, creating the longest, most effective squeeze on the deep veins possible. The slow lowering phase is equally crucial. It forces your muscles to work eccentrically, which is unparalleled for building strength and control. This single exercise, done with proper support, delivers a concentrated dose of what your circulation needs: powerful pump activation, venous return enhancement, calf strengthening, and balance coordination. It is, in essence, concentrated medicine for the second heart, and it forms the non-negotiable cornerstone of restoring robust leg circulation and preserving functional independence after 60. The true power of this surgical protocol lies not in any single movement, but in the powerful synergistic cascade it triggers within your body. When you engage in these exercises consistently, you are not just ticking a box for leg day, you are initiating a profound positive feedback loop that reshapes your physical reality. The most immediate and tangible benefit is, of course, the restoration of efficient blood flow. As the calf pump regains its strength and the coordinated muscle contractions from thigh to ankle begin to work in harmony, the stagnant pools of blood in your lower extremities are forcefully mobilized. This single action begins to unravel a host of problems. The painful swelling, or edema, starts to recede as fluid is no longer forced out into the tissues by high venous pressure. Your feet and ankles begin to feel lighter, less burdened. With improved circulation comes improved delivery of warm, oxygen-rich blood to the farthest reaches of your limbs, often banishing that persistent cold feeling no socks could cure. Furthermore, the efficient removal of metabolic waste products alleviates that deep, burning ache and cramping that commonly plagues the legs at rest or at night. The tissues, now properly nourished and cleansed, enter a state where they can actually heal, dramatically reducing the risk of those slow-healing sores that are a portal to serious infection. But the benefits extend far beyond the vascular system into the very foundation of your mobility and independence. This is where the magic of the overlap occurs. The same exercises that rebuild the venous pump, the heel raises, the single leg stands, the leg extensions, are simultaneously rebuilding the muscular and neurological architecture of balance and strength. Every controlled heel raise fortifies the ankles. Every single leg stance hold sharpens the communication between your feet, your inner ear, and your brain, teaching your body to make lightning-fast micro-corrections. This directly translates to a tangible lived experience: confidence. The creeping fear of falling, which itself leads to a restrictive, tentative gait and reduced activity, begins to dissipate. You find yourself standing more firmly while washing dishes, turning more securely in a hallway, navigating a curb or a carpet edge without that heart-stopping moment of uncertainty. This regained confidence is the catalyst that breaks the most dangerous cycle of all, the cycle of decline. When people fear falling, they move less. When they move less, circulation worsens, muscles weaken further, balance deteriorates, and the fear grows. By directly improving both circulation and the physical capacity for stable movement, this protocol interrupts that spiral at its two most critical points. The culmination of this process is a return to voluntary, pleasurable activity. This is the ultimate goal. It's not about performing the exercises themselves forever as a chore, but about what they enable you to do safely and comfortably in your daily life. With less pain, less swelling, and more trust in your own stability, you are naturally inclined to move more. You might walk to the mailbox without dread, enjoy a longer stroll in a park, play with grandchildren on the floor and rise again with ease, or simply tackle household tasks without exhausting discomfort. This increase in general physical activity then feeds back into the system, providing further gentle stimulation for the circulatory pump and continuing to build strength. The exercises create the capacity, and life then fills that capacity with meaningful movement. This self-reinforcing loop, where targeted rehab leads to improved function, which leads to increased activity, which sustains and enhances the initial gains, is the key to sustainable health. It moves you from a defensive posture, constantly managing symptoms and fear, to an active one where your body is a reliable partner in your life. The outcome is more than just better legs, it's a stronger, more resilient, and more autonomous version of yourself, capable of engaging with the world on your own terms for years to come. This understanding leads us to the final, most critical point of action. Knowing the science and appreciating the synergy is meaningless without a clear, decisive, and personal commitment to change. The stark reality presented by the data and surgical outcomes is not a foregone conclusion for any individual. It is a crossroads. One path is defined by passive acceptance, by continuing with the well-intentioned but incomplete advice that has left so many struggling with progressive discomfort and declining independence. The other path is defined by informed, targeted action, using the precise tools that clinical rehabilitation has proven effective. The choice you make at this moment, after absorbing this information, is what will ultimately determine your trajectory. Will you be the person who, years from now, reflects on this as the turning point where they took back control of their circulatory health? Or will this remain merely an interesting piece of information, quickly forgotten amidst the daily routine, while the silent progression of stagnation continues in your legs? The call to action, therefore, is immediate and personal. It begins not with a daunting overhaul of your life, but with a single deliberate movement. Today, not tomorrow, is the day to start. The protocol is designed for this very purpose: accessibility. It requires no special equipment, no gym membership, and no hour-long time commitment. It begins right where you are, likely seated. Start with the seated ankle pumps. Feel the deliberate contraction in your calf. Do 10 right now. This simple act is your declaration of intent. It is you physically engaging with the second heart and signaling a new regimen. Tomorrow, incorporate the seated leg extensions. The day after, find your sturdy chair and practice the supported heel raise, focusing on that crucial hold at the top. Build this sequence into your daily ritual, during the morning news, after a meal, in the evening before bed. The entire sequence, once learned, takes less than 15 minutes. These 15 minutes are a direct investment in your vitality, a strategic defense against the cascade of decline. Furthermore, your engagement must extend beyond the exercises themselves. We want to hear from you because your journey informs and inspires ours. Which of these movements surprised you with its simplicity or its immediate effect? Did the single leg stance reveal a balance difference you hadn't noticed? Are you starting with the ankle pumps today? By sharing in the comments, you join a community of individuals taking the same proactive steps. You normalize the conversation about circulatory health and fall prevention, moving it from silent suffering to shared strategy. Your questions and experiences help us refine this vital information for everyone. Finally, recognize that this is a foundation, not a ceiling. The information in the next video you see is not a separate topic. It is the logical extension of building a body that can sustain itself. When we reveal a wall-based exercise that surgeons favor for foundational leg strength and joint stability, it is the next piece of the same puzzle. It is about constructing a resilient physical framework so that the circulatory pump you are rebuilding has a strong, stable, and capable structure to support it for the long term. This is how you change the narrative. You start today with a single seated pump. You build consistency, you share your progress, and you prepare to build upon that foundation. This is the difference between hoping for the best and actively constructing a future of strength, warmth, and confident movement. The power to create that difference is quite literally at your feet. The first contraction is yours to make.